Hey guys, it's Brant, and we're back again to do another album review, In My Head channel album review, and we're going to be doing album review for Kiss's Love Gun. I got Steven here with me again.
Hello.
And before I get into that, though, we want to get into a couple things where some viewers brought up to us about corrections on our the video that we did for Rock and Roll Over. I said that Rock and Roll Over was the sixth studio album, or the sixth album overall for Kiss, and it actually wasn't. I'd forgotten all about the originals here, and so the originals was actually the sixth release overall. This came out between Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, and we're not going to do a review for this because this is basically just a box set of the first three albums. But I am going to do a little short video that'll probably just be me because this had some really cool packaging. This was when Kiss had started putting some cool packaging in their things in their albums. There was a sticker in here. There was a book in here. There was a sheet of trading cards in here. So we'll get into that. I'll probably shoot a video for that sometime this week. Just myself, just basically with mostly screenshots. The other thing I want to get into is on the last album review for Rock and Roll Over, we mentioned that Peter Criss sang the high vocals on Take Me, and I was corrected by a viewer, and I did go back and look it up and found out that it is in fact Gene sings it, which does make more sense to me that Gene, because I know that Gene can hit those high vocals, and when he tries, and Paul can hit those high vocals. So, but basically, it was Gene, and we apologize for that. We don't mind being corrected. This is all done in good fun, and these are just our opinions. I try to give the most accurate facts possible, but even then, I make a mistake sometimes. So, but it's all in honesty and all good fun and everything. So, and these are just our reviews and our opinions of songs and albums. So, if you like them, that's great. If you don't, feel free to leave comments. We don't mind. So having said that, what we're going to do is we're going to get into Kiss's sixth studio album and their eighth album release overall. Not Rock and Roll Over. Their eighth album release overall, Love Gun. Let's get into it. So as I said, Love Gun is Kiss's sixth studio album and their eighth album overall. It was produced by Kiss and Eddie Kramer. This was the first time Kiss would have a production credit. It was recorded during the month of May in 1977 and was engineered by Eddie Kramer and Corky Sazak at Record Plant Studios. As with Rock and Roll Over, Aerosmith's producer Jack Douglas was considered as a producer prior to committing to Eddie. The album was released in June 30th, 1977, and was the first Kiss album to ship platinum. Kiss's previous album, Rock and Roll Over, was the first album to ship gold. Now, during this time, the Kiss hype was at its highest. Kiss was everywhere. The Kiss Army was in full effect. Kids were going. The Kiss audience was getting younger and younger. There was kids going to shows now. There was Kiss everything right now. Kiss trash cans. Kiss. Or there was going to be within the next few years to come between Love Gun and Kiss Alive 2, and then going into Double Platinum and the solo albums. The 77-78 era was a huge era for Kiss, and the merchandising was insane. They had pinball machines, they had makeup kits, board games, jackets, anything that they could slap their logo and their picture on. Dolls, guitars, play guitars, not real guitars. But the Kiss frenzy and the Kiss media hype was at its highest. Kiss was actually named the most popular rock act in the world during this time. So this was a huge year for Kiss. This was one of their best-selling albums. Love Gun was their biggest tour that they would eventually record nights off of to make Alive 2, which we'll be reviewing next. And so Kiss, the hype was just crazy at this time. Now, Love Gun was actually certified both gold and platinum, as I said, on June 30th, 1977. It's never been recertified, but is speculated to possibly be quadruple platinum and is known as one of the best-selling Kiss albums. The album peaked at number 4 on the U.S. Billboard chart and spent 25 weeks on the chart. Now, there's a couple things about this album. Performance-wise, this is the first album that all 4 members actually have a lead vocal on. Now, Ace had written songs on previous albums, but he'd never sang lead vocal on one. So this was his debut lead vocal on the song Shock Me, as every Kiss fan knows. But sadly, on a sadder note, this was the last album that Peter Criss would play drums on every song on. He would, of course, they would re-record some songs for double platinum. And they would record songs. They did some sound check recordings for an overdubbing for Kiss Alive 2. And then he did his solo album, but those aren't considered studio albums. The next studio album after this one is Dynasty. And as we'll get to that when we get to that review, he did not play on every song on Dynasty. The other thing about this album is there's not many outside writers. There's maybe only one outside writer other than the cover song that they have on here. They do have a cover song. But other than that, there's only one outside writer. There's not many outside performers. There's some background singers. There's a guy that plays conga on one song. But other than that, this album is very largely Kiss. And to me, I think this album, we had talked about it on a previous, on Rock and Roll Over, but we ended up cutting it out of it because we thought it was giving away a little bit too much too soon. But to me, this album is almost like Rock and Roll Over 2.0. I mean, it's like the way that Kiss and Hotter Than Hell are bookends, and then you have Dressed to Kill kind of swinging out there on its own. And then the albums after Alive, you have Destroyer that's kind of its own, swinging out there on its own. And then you have, Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun. There almost could have been a double album. I mean, the recording quality is about the same. It's the same producer, and Kiss is they're just trucking it at this point. They're writing good songs, they're performing good in the studio and everything. So it really almost could have been a double album to Rock and Roll Over. So what we're going to talk about real quick is we're going to talk about the packaging. Now, this is one of the most iconic. This is one of the most iconic covers of a Kiss album. This was painted by Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly returned to paint this, and I've got my 3 here. I've got 3 versions of this. I've got the 180 gram that's still sealed. I've got one that has the gun in it, and we'll take a look at that one. And this is just one. It's a different pressing than the one that's got the gun in it. We'll take a look at the one that has the gun in it because I want to talk about the packaging. Because this was painted by Ken Kelly. It was literally taken off of his easel. At least I've heard it was taken off of his easel before he was finished with it. And this is the iconic Kiss that people would come to know. These are the costumes that everybody knew of, especially, well, all of them really. I mean, Ace, his armbands and his big silver crossing things in his belts, and Peter's 2 things. I used to make my costume. I'd use aluminum foil wrapped around cardboard, and Gene's chains and the demon boots and everything. So this was Kiss as everybody would see them for years to come. I'd heard that the painting, the faces down here of the women that's around Kiss was actually modeled after Ken Kelly's wife. And so that's the front. Track listing is on the back. And it's not in order. Kiss was really bad about doing that. I've heard some people say that the tracks listing was put in this way to look like a male penis or a male phallus. I don't exactly see it, but that's what I've heard. Otherwise, I think they just put songs on the album because a lot of times the albums or the album covers and the albums themselves are printed and pressed at different times. I have to excuse me. Me and Steven are both a little sick. But then it's got the blood that's on the marble table that's in Kiss, in the word Kiss. And this is kind of unique pressing because this is a rarity. This is an original pressing, but it does not have the members on screen printed on there because this is where they had actually ran out during the first press and continued to press on using just regular FilmWorks labels. But it is a first pressing. It's not a second pressing or a third pressing or anything after that. It is a first pressing. It's just a little bit rarer. Not rare, but rarer. And then we just want to, before we get into talking about the songs, we want to show some of the packaging that's inside of here. Of course, we have the gun, and this one has been put together. But the cardboard cutout that it came out of is still in here. But this is the gun, and you would fold this up in there, and you'd flick it like that, and it'd pop, and it'd say bang. But it was originally laid out flat. And but it has several bangs. I don't have the merch sheet that goes inside of here. I thought I did, but I have to go back and look at my pictures where I originally got this. I got several bangs, and that's kind of weird because it only came with one. But I thought I had a merch sheet, but that's entirely possible that I didn't have that. It may be in one of my other. Kiss albums. Maybe in one of the other Love Guns. But do you have anything you want to say about the packaging or anything, or you just want to get to the songs?
I say we just get into the review.
Okay, so let's get into the review. Let's get into track number 1, I Stole Your Love. I Stole Your Love was written and sang by Paul. Paul plays the first part of the solo, and Ace plays the second part. Paul said he was inspired by Deep Purple's song Burn and was trying to write in the same vein as Making Love mixed with Come On and Love Me. Now, I really love this song. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, but I like the drive behind it. I love the energy behind it. I love the arranging. This is a Paul Stanley construction. Everything is great about this song, except it can be a little repetitious towards the end where it's just they're doing I stole your love, and then he starts doing at the end he does that low, and it's like, that's some parts of that I don't really like so much. I'm not really a big fan of the mix on the song either. They're just with Rock and Roll Over. There's some songs on here that I'm not big fans of the mix on. But having said all that, I give it an 8.
All right, well, 8. Okay,
yep. Starting
out strong again.
Yep.
All right, so I think that this is a pretty solidly constructed song. I like all the riffs in it, especially the beginning where it's just right when they kick the song off. My one note during the song is your only complaint is it's a little repetitive. It does go on. It's a little long-winded. Mm-hmm. And that might just be in efforts to get the runtime up some more. But I think it's a solid song overall. It's what we're coming to expect from Paul at this point. Mm-hmm. So I give it a 7.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next song, Christine 16. Christine 16 was written and sang by Gene. Gene plays some of the rhythm guitar and plays the piano part. Eddie Kramer is sometimes credited for the piano part and did record a piano part for it, but Gene has stated that he didn't like the sound and he re-recorded it because he was going for more of a Jerry Lee Lewis playing style. The song is apparently Gene getting revenge on Paul for stealing his Black Diamond song title back in 1974. Paul was working on a song with the title Christine 16, but Gene changed the lyric in his song to Christine 16 in order to steal the title. Gene began work on this song in early 1976, and it went through several changes along the way. One of the last changes was adding the spoken monologue over the chorus, something the song is known for. This song was also originally demoed with Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen, who were still unknown at the time. According to Gene, he forced Ace to play Eddie's solo from the demo note for note when they recorded the song. Now, I really love this song. It's Gene doing what he does best. It was kind of shady for him to steal, Paul's solo or Paul's title, but they do that a lot. There's a camaraderie between the two of them, but there was also competition between the two of them. But the writing, the singing, the solo, the drums, the mix, the bridge, the background vocals. Background vocals is another very predominant on this album.
Yeah.
It's all really good. My cons is it does get a little repetitive at the end because, like a lot of these 70s songs, once they got done with the song, they repeated the chorus till it was time to fade out. So at the end, he's just Christine, and then he does all that little he does one of his real high notes, showing that he can hit those high notes, but it was just repetitive at the end.
Repeat and fade out.
But having said all that, I scored an 8.
Wow. Okay. This is shaping up like rock and roll over then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christine 16. This is kind of like our last album, minus one song. You get a good Paul song, and then you get a good Gene song. I like this one probably considerably less than Calling Dr. Love, though. Mm-hmm. If that will give you any ideas. I guess coming out of the time when this album was produced, when they were all in their 20s, so it's not as strange for them to be singing about. I mean, it's still kind of weird, but it's not as strange to them to be singing about a 16-year-old girl. But when you're my age and all the members of Kiss are in their 60s and 70s, do they still perform this live?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So it's a bit strange. And the spoken word bit just makes it all that more kind of gray area, right? This song again is one of those kind of, it's not really here or there for me. I never skipped it, but I'm not a big fan of it. I give it a 6.
All right. So a 6 on that one. Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to the next track. We're going to move on to Got Love for Sale. So Got Love for Sale was written and sang by Gene. Gene also plays some rhythm guitar. This was originally titled Have Love Will Travel, and those lyrics do appear in the song during the chorus. The origin of this song date back to 1975 and possibly earlier. This was a song that Gene took parts of his song Man of a Thousand Faces, a song that he would also record for his 1978 solo album. So once again, like on Gene's previous song on this album, I love the drive, I love the energy, the writing, the drums. I love the way the drums sound on some of these songs. It's like a song like this one, and there's a song we get onto later that I think the drums are perfect on. If they would have just kept that drum sound to the whole album, it could have used it through the whole album. There was nothing that negated or required the drums to not mix to be the way they are on some of these songs that the drums sound really good on. But the solo, I also like the way they did the acoustic, like when he goes, "Your eyes are full of tears, gling," and they do that gling, gling. Yeah, I like really the way they bring it in. I like when they multi-layer like that, and I like when Kiss uses an acoustic guitar and they use it right, even if they just pull it out for a couple little things. I love the way it busts into the solo. It's like that little pre-chorus, that's little tap, and they do that whoa no, and it's like and the way it just busts into that solo. I like it, just kind of punches you in the face, and I love that about this song. My cons on this song is Gene gets a little overboard. Gene turns into the demon, and he gets a little overboard on his voice. Yeah, I mean, he gets a little out there, and it's all in fun. And I actually laugh at it when I hear him do it. But it's not a perfect song to me, so I gotta ding it on something. So if I'm gonna ding it on something, I'll ding it on Gene's vocal performance. He gets a little out there, but I'm gonna give this song an 8.
Wow. Okay.
3 8s in a row.
Here we go. Here comes the fourth 8's next, right?
Here we go.
All right. So I like this song a lot. I like the chorus, and I really like the acoustic accents. That adds a lot to me because that means that they're getting to the point where they're comfortable getting out of their comfort zone, and that's a good thing for any artist, really. This has my favorite solo on the album.
Yeah,
I like the weird solos.
Right, I do too.
It probably has my favorite solo on the album. So I'll rip the Band-Aid off for this one quick, and I'll give it a 7.
All right, cool. So next we're going to move on to the next track. We're going to move on to Shock Me.
Shock me, make me feel better. Shock me.
Shock Me was written and sang by Ace. It has been said that Ace plays all the guitar parts, even the bass on the song, although Gene and Paul are also credited. Ace brought this song fully written and arranged to the band, although Paul has claimed that he and Gene helped cleaning it up and helped with arranging. Gene has contradicted this claim by saying that Shock Me was a song that Ace written and arranged all on his own. The song was inspired by Ace's legendary electrocution during a show in 1976. It was a long-awaited vocal debut by Ace. Ace recorded the lead vocals of the song while lying on his back in a darkened studio because he was too embarrassed and didn't want Eddie or the band to see him while he sang. What?
I just imagine like Ace. He's like, shock me.
Your line is all I need. There was a story out there that he actually wrote this or sang it laying on his back to help him hit the high notes.
Really?
Yeah, but I've actually saw an interview where Ace said that no, he did it because he was just too embarrassed. He didn't. They turned the lights down. They weren't allowed to look in the recording booth while he was recording it. He was just too embarrassed to be heard singing by himself.
Well, I mean, it was the first time.
Right.
He fell into an amp or something, right?
Yeah, he put his hand on stairs and something wasn't grounded, and so the electricity passed through him, and he played the rest of the show. But he said he couldn't feel his fingers, even though he played the rest of the show. Now, as far as Shock Me goes, I freaking love this song. So you already know, if you're learning, when you hear me say freaking love this song, I'm going to gush like a little schoolgirl here for a minute again. Writing, arranging, energy, drums, mix, Ace's vocals, hit the solo. To me, it is one of the, if not top 10, top 5 Ace solos. I mean, it is constructed. It is constructed as beautifully as the song itself is, and just the whole riff, the dun 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 dun. I mean, just the way the drums sound. You can actually hear the ring on the tom when he hits the tom. You can hear the ring. It's just a great song. So I have no cons. So I scored a 10.
Is that your first 10?
No.
What was it?
Detroit Rock City was my first and only other 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put this out there and be contradictory and say that I think this has the least energy out of almost all the songs on the album. I feel like this was recorded in kind of a way that a original 3 album song was. I feel like it's a little dry. Because you listen to the debut album, or you listen to Hotter Than Hell, and you've got that. It's kind of slower because the band's still. I mean, not that that's the case here, but this is Ace's first song that he's singing, so I think you lose some of that energy that or the confidence that you get from someone who has confidence in their voice, like Paul or Gene,
right,
or even Peter,
right.
So I feel like you lose a little bit of that energy. Having said that, I think this is the best song overall on the album. because I mean I'm an Ace fanboy, so I'm not gonna knock his song. So I give it a 9.
Awesome. I'm glad you didn't score it a 5. Because
No.
I wouldn't have liked to not had you in any more videos.
That's the first Kiss song I learned how to play was this.
You learned how first Kiss song you learned how to play was Shock Me. And I will say this, even though I scored this a 10, I like the Alive 2 version better. And I think I don't know if you
11 on that one.
Huh?
You're gonna go-
No, I'll probably still score it a 10 maybe. I don't know. It's still perfect. But I do like, there's more energy. It is faster. There's some things I don't like about it, but I might score it a 10. It might get a 9. I might like this version. I might like the dry version better. Who knows?
I will agree with your statement about the drums though, because this is one of the only albums we actually listened to a little bit together, and we were in his car listening to it, and like one of his speakers is kind of like right here, and there was one time that Peter hit one, it's like doo, doo, tsh, and I'm like, whoa, and like that came out of nowhere. It's very good.
They did mix the drums in some places very well on this album.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next song. We're gonna move on to Tomorrow and Tonight.
Tomorrow and tonight, we can rock all day, we can roll all night. Tomorrow and tonight,
Tomorrow and Tonight was written and sang by Paul. It is rumored that Paul played the bass on this song, and the song has non-Kiss member background vocals. It was written as an attempt to rewrite Rock and Roll All Night and provide another anthem for the band. There's a piano part in the song in certain parts of the solo, but I've not been able to find who's credited for it. But I would assume it was Eddie Kramer since he had played earlier on a song. As far as Tomorrow and Tonight goes, I've got here in my notes, I like the prose as the writing, the arrangement. I even like the background vocals. The background
They
vocals,
fit.
to me, they fit this song.
What song was it last album that had background vocals and it was kind of like, it didn't seem like it fit? Or was that Destroyer?
It might have been Destroyer.
It was Destroyer because I remember I made the comment that this is the first time we had non-Kiss singers.
Right,
And I was like, it felt out of place.
right.
This doesn't feel out of place to me.
There's background vocals on Sweet Pain, but there are some there's female background vocals in several songs on Destroyer, and even a boys choir and everything. But but I think it really fits on this one. I've got, like I said, I've got arranging, writing, background vocals, the solo. My con for this is that the mix is a little flat. This is one, the drums seem to take a step back into the background, and it sounds like, the toms are real flat, the snare's real flat.
Have you noticed the trend, though? Because I think I picked up the pattern.
You did pick up a pattern?
All of Paul's songs have flat drums.
Really? Okay. But having said all that, I still like the song. I scored it a 6.
All right. So I didn't write anything in my notes on this song because I'm just going to give you up front and say this. I was going to score it a 5, but I also wrote these notes a couple days before this, so I'm going to have to reprise the answer because I've been singing that song in my head all weekend. So I was going to score it a 5, but I don't know. It's super catchy. Mm-hmm. And I would just be walking around work and say, tomorrow tonight.
And then, and Paul, it's Paul's writing too, though. Like I said, it's a Paul Stanley construction.
Yeah.
Take me in the cellar, let me be your fella. I mean, it's like.
So I've been singing that song all weekend. I have to up my score for it from a 5 because I don't feel like that justifies it.
Right.
Which means I'll have to redo my total score.
Right.
But I mean, I'm gonna put it right up there with some of the other songs on this album. I'm gonna put it at like a 7.
Okay.
So I'll go 7.
All right, so 7 on that. All right. So now we're going to move on to the title track, Flip the Vinyl, and we're going to go to Love Gun.
love
Love Gun was written and sang by Paul. Sean Delaney claims to have helped Paul co-write this song, but it's not credited for it. Paul plays rhythm guitar parts and the bass, and Ace played the lead solo. Paul drew the inspiration from the song The Hunter by Albert King. And I swear I hear a synthesizer during the pre-chorus and the chorus in the background, but it's probably just some effect on the guitar by Paul, or maybe he may be using an EBO since he played the rhythm guitar in parts of this song. He had really started experimenting in the recording of his guitars at this point, and it would come very evident in his solo album that he would record later in that year. My pros for this song I have is the writing, of course, with Paul. Paul's just knocking him out of the park right now. Arrangement, the guitars, the solos. The cons is the mix. It's a Paul Stanley song, so it's a little flat. Paul's vocals get repetitive, and he gets a little over the top at the end where he's doing the loco. I can't even do it with my voice being the way it is. Paul builds the perfect song, but then he writes the perfect song, but in the construction and the actual building of it, there's pieces he could have left off, as far as I'm concerned. But I still like this song, so I scored a 7.
Wow. All right. I'll start off by saying that this is my favorite song on the album. I guess maybe because I haven't been exposed to it, this is probably one of the first times I've listened to this song. I really like all of it. I mean, I think it's a great song. The only thing that really leaves anything to be desired for me is the mix does fall a little flat in some places. Mm-hmm. I feel like the chorus is mixed particularly well, but it falls kind of flat in the verses and stuff. The solo's not mixed that well either. So that being said, I give it a 9.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. So next the next song we're gonna move on to, we're gonna go to the next track, Hooligan.
I'm a hooligan. What comes hooligan? I'm a hooligan.
Hooligan was written by Peter Criss and Stan Pendridge and sang by Peter. Paul plays the solo at the end of the song. It's one of the 2 songs Peter brought to rehearsals for the album, the other being a song called Love Bite that was demoed but not included on the album. I'm going to play a clip of that demo right here.
Love life, you just call me tonight. Kiss me here, kiss me there. You can kiss me anywhere. Love life feels so right.
The inspiration for Hooligan began during a writing session when Peter and Stan were talking about Peter's family and how his grandmother used to call him a hooligan. He actually starts off saying, "My granny, she said I was a hooligan, running around like a fooligan." This is probably one of my favorite Peter songs, and I know there's a lot of people they don't like this song. This is one of their lesser favorite Peter songs, but I really like Hooligan. And we don't get much more Peter songs after this because he's getting ready to, in a few. We got the solo album, and then he has a song on Dynasty, and after that, he's out.
Yeah.
So, but I would say this possibly could be my favorite Peter song. I like the writing, the arrangement of it. Peter's vocals in this is good. He's just got that raspy, soulful voice. I just love hearing the guy sing. It's just I usually don't like the songs he's singing on, but I love to hear the guy sing. Ace's solo in this one is good. His little licks that he does kind of through the thing is really good. The only thing that I don't really like about it is I think the mix is a little flat, and the drums almost sound on this song the way they do on a Paul song. I wish they would have sounded the way they do on a Gene song or an Ace song. But having said all that, I score Hooligan an 8.
Wow. Back to 8. All right. Okay. So, when I first listened to this song, I didn't really know what to think of it. I was like, this is kind of a middle-of-the-road Peter song. I listened to it a couple more times, and I kind of learned to appreciate it. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I didn't get as much listen time in for Love Gun as I was able to for Rock and Roll Over, sadly. So I don't have the biggest opinion on it, but I think it's still a pretty good song. I do like Ace's solo in this. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of short, though.
Right.
Just a little bit. But I'm going to give this a 7.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to the next song. We're going to move on to Gene being Almost Human. This was written and sang by Gene. Gene plays the rhythm guitar. Jimmy Malin, an outside musician, played the congas. The title was inspired from a line from a 1928 Lon Chaney movie, West of Zanzibar, in which a character says, "1 minute you're a fiend, and the next minute you're almost human." Now, this is another prime example of Gene hearing a line in a song, or hearing a line in a movie and turning it into a song. There's a lot of people out there. This is their favorite Gene song, and this is the demon incarnate. He's almost human. He was the god of thunder, and then he became on Rock and Roll Over. He became Dr. Love, and now he is almost human. So he's really embracing his 98-year-old demon. I remember at one point in time I was a kid, and I remember buying into that. I remember thinking, because when you were a kid, you bought into these, things, and you heard all the stories. And one of the videos I want to do with Steven one time is all the urban legends behind Kiss. I thought that I've seen somebody do that. I think it'd be really cool for us to do one too, because there's some I've heard about that I've not seen, that I didn't see in their video. But but as far as my notes on this song, I like the phasing effects it has. They use those phasing effects again.
They use them very effectively in this one too.
Mm-hmm. I like the mix. I like the drums. I like the congas. Everything fits in this. The only cons I have in this is Gene's vocals. The background vocals. I don't like the almost human. It grates my skin. I don't like it. The solo, I don't like it. The solo is just it's. I know it's Ace, but it sounds like they gave the guitar to a 5-year-old. I mean, and I know it's probably, there's a guitarist out there that's probably going, "Oh, that's the most technical solo he's ever done because he's using this minor scale or whatever." And you know what? I know, but I mean, just to me, I don't like it. Having said all that, I still scored a 6.
Felt like you'd be higher on this for some reason.
No, it's not one of my favorite songs on the album.
Okay.
I've actually skipped it. I know, I just pissed a lot of people off. My buddy Ralph Vieira actually has a channel called Almost Human. Ralph, I love you, but
Oh, is that the reference? Mm-hmm. I never got the reference because you told me about it.
Almost Human 56, Ralph Vieira. Check his channel out. He's awesome.
Well, his score's about to be 56. I'm just kidding. See, here's where we're kind of different on that. I like Ace's weird solo, even though it is kind of like plink, 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 plink.
I do like that little bass run that Gene does through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's probably...
That little thing he does. Gene's an awesome bassist. He don't get enough credit.
No, he doesn't. This is the best bass line in the album, in my opinion. I like the weird harmonies in the chorus. I like that a lot because it's really, it's like, it's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And whenever you can find something musically that has enough of a pressure against someone's feelings to make them uncomfortable with just sound, I think is pretty cool. But the rest of the song, I mean, I like Gene's bass and I like the weird harmonies in the chorus, but other than that, I don't really like it that much, so I give it a 6.
Well, there we go. All right. So we're going to move on now to the next song. We're going to move on to Plastercaster.
Plastercaster, grab a hold of me faster. If you want to see my love, just ask her.
Who's your master?
Written and sang by Gene. Gene also plays some rhythm guitar. Written with the inspiration of the pop culture fame Cynthia Albritton, known as the Plastercaster. She was a groupie that was known for casting members of rock bands' phalluses. However, Gene nor any other member in Kiss has never been plastercast. This is a good song. This is Gene writing. He writes fiction because, once again, I always thought, well, he wrote a song about Plastercaster. He probably was Plastercast. Takes a little bit away from it that he wasn't. I love the fact that Gene played a lot of rhythm in this. And Gene's a really good, if you watch some of these vault recordings that are coming out now, where Gene's going around and doing his vault stuff, he's playing guitar. And when he's sitting down and playing songs or playing with Ace in some of them or whatever, he's usually playing guitar. And sometimes he'll be playing bass line on the guitar, but then sometimes he's jumping up and he's playing chords and playing rhythm on the guitar. And Gene is, like I said, and I've seen on one episode of Family Jewels where where Nick had a band, he jumped behind the drums and was playing the drums. And he's not a drummer, but he can play drums. So, I mean, Gene is all around. He's a talented guy. And I like that he approaches songwriting in a different way than Paul Stanley does. They come from 180 opposite directions on their approach of writing songs. And I think that's what's caused them to be, they're
diverse.
almost like a McCartney, Lennon, and they wanted to be something like a McCartney Lennon. They wanted Kiss to be the Beatles with makeup. But as far as this song goes, my pros I've got, I love the writing, the arranging. I like Gene's vocals in this one. I like whenever he first starts coming in singing and that tone he's in. But then when he gets into the chorus, I like the way he brings it up a notch. I love the background vocals. I love the way the background vocals come in with Plastercaster, faster, faster. I mean, I love the background vocals on this. The guitar mix is really good. Ace's licks throughout the later part of the song is really good. Like I said, I really like this song. My cons about this is the drum mix is flat a little bit. It's not like it is on other songs. It almost sounds like they've got a towel laying over the snare drum, and
Or the whole kit.
Yeah, or the whole kit. And although I mentioned Ace's licks throughout the song, his solo on this song to me is kind of meh. It's not a bad solo, but it's not one of his most memorable ones.
I don't even remember it. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it. You said Ace. I'm like, oh, Ace had a solo in this song?
Yeah, it's not a very memorable solo, but now I do like his licks that he does through the
Well, yeah, I mean,
all his little licks he does through the whole thing is really good.
You can't say that. I mean, we can't be biased and go, oh, every Ace solo is good, because not every solo is good.
No.
So
I like the fact that the song has a solo. It does, as people's watched me in the past, it bugs me when a song doesn't have a solo, especially a rock band. I can understand if you're a Seattle band or whatever when they were going through, or a new wave rock when they were going through that phase where they didn't have solos. Half the time they didn't have bridges or whatever, and the name of the song wasn't even a word in the song, or it was one word in the song that they said one time, But I don't know. I appreciate it that it has the solo, but it's a meh. But I give the song a 7 though. Still.
okay, 7. Okay, I don't think there's anything that you have already said about this song that I wouldn't just echo. So I won't bore you by repeating everything that he just said, because I think that him and my opinions line up a lot on this song. So I'm just going to get straight to my score on it. It's going to be a 6.
All right. So we were close. 7 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we're going to move on to the last song on the album. Then She Kissed Me.
There's the last song?
Huh?
There's the last song? I thought Plastercaster ended it.
No. Then She Kissed Me is the last song.
Oh, that's a song?
I know what Then She Kissed Me. Now, Then She Kissed Me was written by Phil Spector, Jeff Barry, and Ellie Greenwich, and sang by Paul. Paul also played the lead guitar. It was originally recorded by the famed female group The Crystals in 1963 under the title Then He Kissed Me. The band reworked the lyrics to be from a male point of view. According to Gene, the genesis of this song making it to the album originated by the band goofing around with this song during sound checks during the 1976 European tour. And I'm going to read my cons. Notice I said cons for this song, word for word, off of my review. Cons. Song choice. Should have never been recorded. Love Bite, the Peter demo that I played earlier, would have probably been a better choice. This song kills my score for this album. A song with a score of at least a 3 would have made this my favorite Kiss album so far. But I hate this song. I hate it. They should not have recorded it. This is not a Kiss song. I score it a 1. A 1.
There's going to be someone out here that likes this song.
I don't care.
They probably won't be watching this channel, though.
I don't care. There's probably Kiss fans that like this song. I've heard it. I've heard that people like this song. Me, when it starts, down, 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 I'm like, skip. Matter of fact, a lot of times whenever Plastercaster goes off, it's usually the CD comes out or I go back to the very first song or whatever.
Just fast forward twice.
Yeah.
Man, so this is one of the songs that we listened to together in the car. And do you remember my initial reaction when it started? As soon as it started,
You looked at me.
I looked at you and I went, "Oh my God." I'm not going to bore you.
And you didn't even know it was a cover song.
No.
He did not know it was a cover song. I didn't tell him.
Yeah, we were silent in the car. We didn't. We were purposely not trying to give away how we felt about songs because I don't want to know he really likes a song because, I mean, one part of me is like, I kind of want to be different, but another part of me is like, well, he really appreciates this song, so I kind of want to line up with him, which is why we don't compare. But when he played this one in the car, I couldn't help but say something because, oh my God.
I would have rather this song, if they wasn't going to redo Love Bite, if they wasn't going to put Love Bite on there, I would have just rather it been a 9-track album.
Yeah.
And just be done with it.
Yeah.
So what's your score?
1.
You scored a 1, huh?
Quick 1, yeah.
So that's our review for the album. Do you have any closing thoughts on the album?
Let me read you my overall statement. So my overall statement for Kiss's Love Gun is not much departed from Rock and Roll Over. Mixes a little better, not much. Still pretty inconsistent, but overall a pretty solid album.
My final thoughts on Love Gun is one of my favorite albums. It is one of the albums that I had from very early on. I think it was one of the first 3 albums. I know the first 2 albums I had was Destroyer and Alive 2. And I think I probably got Love Gun shortly after that. It's a good album. I love it. And, I can't say much more about it than I've already said about, individual songs. And I kind of agree with Steven and what we said earlier. It's basically, to me, it's like it could have been a double. Rock and Roll Over could have been a double album with Rock and Roll Over as one album and Love Gun as the second, because they almost sounded like they were recorded at the same time.
Yeah, they're very close.
Very close. I think that that Love Gun is a little bit of an improvement on production. But I think the strength of the songs are very equally divided between both of the albums.
Yeah.
The killer is Then She Kissed Me on this album. That is the stake that puts it in the heart of the almost human Gene Simmons. Is Then She Kissed Me. How the hell do you make an album with Then She Kissed Me or Then She Kissed Me on it with the same song with the same as Almost Human? I don't get it. And Paul, how can you sing Then She Kissed Me after you sung I Stole Your Love and Love Gun?
It's just because I had the word kiss in it. It's kind of like
that's what I think.
Kissing Time.
Yeah, Then She Kissed Me. Yeah, and Kissing Time. Yeah, Your name's Kiss. Don't sing a song with your name in it. It's too corny. It's too hokey. But with that, I'm going to do my recap. So for I Stole Your Love, I scored an 8. Christine 16, I scored an 8. Got Love for Sale, scored an 8. Shock Me a 10. Tomorrow and Tonight a 6. Love Gun a 7. Hooligan a 8. Almost Human a 6. Plastercaster a 7. Then She Kissed Me a 1. That's a total of 69. 69 divided by 10 is 6.9. So that gives me a total of 6.9 for the album.
All right, cool. And I Stole Your Love is 7. Christine 16 is 6. Got Love for Sale is a 7. Shock Me is 9. Tomorrow and Tonight I reprised to a 7. Love Gun is 9. Hooligan is 7. Almost Human is 6. Plastercaster is 6. Then She Kissed Me is 1, which gives me a total score of 65. Divided by 10 tracks is 6.5.
6.5. Awesome. Okay, so then I'm going to do my album standings. So this, like I said, it was close. I actually figured it up that I figured it up that if the album would have had, and Then She Kissed Me would have scored at least a 3, or any song in its place would have scored at least a 3, this would have beat out Rock and Roll Over. But I've got Rock and Roll Over still number 1 at 7.1, Alive number 2 at 7.06, Love Gun falls into third, 6.9, Destroyer is 6.77, Dress to Kill 6.3, Kiss 6.0, and Hotter Than Hell 5.7.
I like that we've yet to, or at least you've yet to have something that goes below 5 overall. Which I imagine it's going to take something, it's going to take a pretty bad album to reach that point, but...
You know, and what's funny is I've not ever, every single album I've sat down before I've done it, and I've tried to think, where's this album going to score? How's it going to score?
And you're never able to.
And then I've never been right. I've been close, but I've not been right. And there's some albums in the 80s. I will tell you, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the albums past Asylum until you get back around to some of the albums like Carnival of Souls. You know, I'm kind of curious to see actually how I am going to score albums like Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Revenge. I'm kind of curious to see how I am going to score those. And I'm real curious to see along with you, because I know that you're reserving listening to those albums. I think now you're getting ready to start, because what we're going to do is we're going to do this album right here. Mm-hmm. Grab that up there. This is going to be our next album. We're going to do Alive 2.
We're doing this one live, right?
We're going to try to do this one live. We're going to try to figure out a date, and once me and him have figured out a date, I'll post a little short video here, and I'll post it on my YouTube page and my Twitter and my Instagram. I'm going to put all that up because somebody else suggested that I do that, to put up my handles for my YouTube page and put up my handles for my Twitter account, my Instagram account. So I'm going to be putting that up at the end of this video and everything. But this is the album we're going to be doing next. I'm really looking forward to doing this. This is my original press. Got the tattoos in there and got the book in there.
Merch sheet.
And, the merch sheet. So we're really looking forward to doing Kiss Alive 2. And yes, we are going to do it live. So we're going to do a live stream of that. And then after that, we're going to do Double Platinum. We are going to review Double Platinum. I had somebody ask if we're actually going to do that because it's really just a compilation album. But I actually listened to Double Platinum today for the first time in probably about 10 years. And they remixed a lot of the songs. They re-recorded a lot of the songs. So I think it warrants a review.
Yeah, I agree.
And then after that, we're going to be doing the solo albums.
Do you think you should count it in your overall scores, though?
I don't know. I'll figure that out.
That's dodgy.
That's dodgy. I'll figure that out. Because maybe because I'm putting these in there, and these have reworks of the same songs.
Fair enough.
And I'm putting the solo albums in there because who knows? What if Peter Criss's solo album ends up being my favorite Kiss album of all time? I don't think so. But
Yeah, I get you. Okay, I
But
understand.
we're looking forward to doing. And the way we're going to do the solo albums is we're going to do them by catalog release.
So we don't reveal.
So we don't reveal which one we like the best. And the catalog of release, I believe we said it was Gene.
Peter, Paul, and Ace.
Gene, Peter, Paul, and Ace is how I believe it was. But we'll reveal them in that order and everything. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a little short video that's going to preface. It's going to be the same on each one of the solo albums, because I don't want somebody who's watched one and not watched one of the others to have some kind of bias towards it. So I'm going to make a little short video that basically introduces us talking about the solo albums. And it'll go on the beginning of each one of the solo albums that I do. It'll be something I do by myself. And it's just going to be leading into the history of it. Because I don't feel there's the history of the solo albums, and there's the history of the solo albums individually. And I don't feel I need to reprise that every single time. So we'll just put it, we'll do it that way. So, but having said all that,
I think that about wraps up.
Wraps up Love Gun. And just be sure to leave comments. Like I said, I'm going to be putting up my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube page and everything. So all those links so you can get to those. And we appreciate you watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and keep coming back and watching. And we'll see you next time.